Hi, I'm Deren Baker, CEO of Flywheel Ventures.
And I'm Molly O'Brien from Flywheel Ventures. You're listening to the CPG Guys podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our hosts, Sri Rajgopalan, Peter V.S. Bond, and Brian Gildenberg explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Welcome back to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm your humble, adorable, and often incorrigible co-host, PVSB, who also moonlights as Partnership Acceleration Lead at Flywheel, the digital commerce division of Omnicom. Please check out Flywheel's new thought leadership white paper called The Big Shift, which explores the historical balance of power between brands and retailers. As we record this episode, my erstwhile partner Sri is in New Jersey visiting his mom and his brother, so he's not able to join me today. But please do listen to his incredibly talented daughters, Ria Raj and Lara Raj. Lara's new album with the band Cat's Eye is about to drop, and we'll certainly let you know when it does. And of course, Ria's got tens of millions of downloads of her songs on Spotify, so please do check them both out. Before we get to our two guests for today, let me remind everyone listening to this podcast that to help grow this community of CPG retail industry professionals looking for education and entertainment, if you're using either Apple Podcasts or Spotify as your preferred platform, please, and I cannot encourage you more, please stop and leave us a rating and even write a review, because the rating helps feed the algorithm that makes our podcast more findable by professional peers like that you have that listen to our podcast. And of course, the review helps us learn about what you want and what you don't like about what we're doing on the podcast. All right, links to Flywheel's Big Shift white paper, all of the podcasts in our collective, including CPG Scoop and the FMCG guys over in Europe, the social media personas of Shri's daughters, and his wife Kavita's podcast, Light Camera Conversation. Basically, the entire Raj Mahal family media empire. You can find them in the digital liner notes of this episode. So let's get to the feature interview we've got scheduled for today. If you haven't heard about the fast-growing trend around social commerce, then fear not, intrepid listeners, you've come to the right place. Digital commerce has expanded onto social media platforms, the most popular of which started a few years ago in China and has now grown to be a powerful brand growth channel through TikTok, the subsidiary of Chinese parent company ByteDance. According to eMarketer, since launching in September 2023, over 11% of U.S. households have made purchases through TikTok shops. Amazing. Understandably, brands are quickly trying to determine how they can leverage this platform focused on creator content to profitably grow their brands. But where should the brand start? What resources do they need to have in place? And how can they deliver a meaningful user experience? Here to help us dig into what TikTok shops are all about, which of the brands in their portfolios are best suited for the commerce channel, and what they need to have in place from a supply chain perspective, are two authorities. And I'm very fortunate to also call them colleagues in my role at Flywheel. Please join me in welcoming Deren Baker, CEO of Flywheel Ventures, and Molly O'Brien, head of TikTok shops at Flywheel Ventures. Molly, Deren, welcome to the CPG Guys.
Well,
Thanks for having us.
Well, listen, I am so excited to have you guys here. I know Molly and I have been working on the emergence of TikTok shops and Flywheel's response to that for the last couple of months, and I'm so glad that we're now in a position to talk about this very openly and formally, as Flywheel has made a concerted effort to build a sustainable platform around this channel. Before we get to the questions I prepared for you, would you each tell me what your respective roles are in the organization?
Yeah, I can start. I'm the CEO of the newly created Flywheel Ventures, which is Flywheel's investment in the fastest growth areas of retail. Our focus is on Walmart Marketplace and TikTok Shop, and our goal is to bring a Flywheel level of quality product and service to those rapidly accelerating marketplaces.
Awesome. Molly?
Yeah, so I'm heading up our TikTok shop service and operation at Flywheel Ventures, working alongside Deren and our new team, some of which are stateside and some of which are around the globe, to bring the best possible service and outcomes for our customers.
Thanks, Molly, and thanks, Deren. Included in the digital liner notes of this episode, along with the multitude of Raj family links, we'll include the links to your LinkedIn pages, Flywheel's LinkedIn page, and Flywheel's corporate website so that our listeners who love to multitask while they're listening to our scintillating conversation can do exactly that. All right, let me kick this off now. Deren, question to you. What is this new group, Flywheel Ventures?
Yeah, sure. Well, if you take a step back, Flywheel's singular goal has always been to drive incremental sales, share, and profitability for our customers. We do that by combining strategic expertise with innovative software solutions. And today, Flywheel has partnerships across over 100 retailers, 400 marketplaces, and we're active in 30 plus global markets, including 9 of the 10 world's largest marketplaces. We got to this point by investing over $650 million in buying and integrating 11 different companies, all providing best-in-breed solutions for some specific segment of the digital commerce value chain. And together, those solutions create the most comprehensive technology platform in the industry that spans retail operations, content and creative, managed media, marketplace intelligence, and even consulting and strategy. And now we're applying that same innovative, data-driven, full-service approach that we've always had at Flywheel to growing TikTok Shop and Walmart Marketplace within Flywheel Ventures.
All right, that is a great overview. That's very helpful. So then let's double click into one of the two areas that Flywheel Ventures is focused on and the subject of today's conversation, because it's just frankly where I hear constantly in talking to brands where they're thinking about investing next. So why don't you start, Deren, with an overview of what are TikTok shops exactly?
It's basically a full shopping journey all within the TikTok app. So we all know that TikTok is well known for long dwell times and discovering trends and influencing habits. And there are stats out there that show that Gen Z users spend over 90 minutes a day on TikTok. As a dad of 2 teenage girls, I can tell you that 90 minutes is like we have to cut them off every day at 90 minutes a day because TikTok is got so much interesting content for them to look at. But TikTok Shops is commerce seamlessly integrated into that social media platform. So TikTok is now powering product discovery with impulsivity and closed loop shopping. Instead of people searching for products, which is traditionally what we're used to, products are finding people. And basically the way that works is users are presented with shoppable content through content creators who make videos and conduct live streaming events. Then users can check on product information just like they would on any online marketplace. And finally, they can check out seamlessly without leaving the TikTok app. Sellers, on the other side, leverage various fulfillment options, including a TikTok-provided service to make sure the product gets to the consumer in a timely fashion. And so, oversimplified, there are 2 paths to product on TikTok. You can discover product that you didn't know you wanted via the creator channels, or you can search just like you would on your favorite retailer like Amazon. And those same Gen Z users who are spending 90 plus minutes a day on TikTok, 67% of them have bought something in TikTok in the last year, and 42% of those purchases were spontaneous.
Wow, for almost half were spontaneous. Phenomenal stat. That is incredible. So then I guess my question, and I'll turn to you, Molly, why should brands be interested? I think I know, but I think you can probably articulate it a little bit better than I can.
There are so many reasons, Peter, but I'll start with the simplest. If you're not going to sell your products on TikTok, somebody else will. The reality is that TikTok has sold over 11 billion in 2023 and is poised to eclipse 17.5 billion in 2024. Gonna pause for effect. That is a lot of volume. That is a lot of real revenue that they really believe in. And so as you're investigating the opportunity for your brands, if you go onto the platform, you may see your brand already being sold there, just not by you. The second reason, as I alluded to, is the revenue opportunity is very real right now. TikTok is driving sales, period. I think when we first started having the conversations last year, it was like, are they going to be able to do it? Yes, they have. They've it wasn't new, right? So ByteDance created this blueprint starting back in around 2016, and they've invested in tools very similar to Amazon to help sellers drive that volume for them. We're even seeing TikTok pull back on some of the subsidies like platform fees because they're able to operate without that incentive already. The scale and speed available to drive incremental sales is incredibly appetizing for brands. It also provides consumers with options to purchase direct from a traditionally upper funnel activity. So viral to purchase at scale on a platform is something that we haven't experienced before. So yesterday, you could see the halo effect on Amazon of viral videos and the products associated with them by looking at search frequency rank and comparing sales period over period. It was a bit organic. You'd discover it unless a brand told you that they had partnered with an influencer. Today, you can see that attribution directly on TikTok Shop if you're there, and you can compare it to Amazon and your other retail channels. So more of a proactive versus reactive approach to that incremental sales opportunity. Other reasons that I'm bucketing under establish, grow, and maintain relevancy are really about new audiences. So growing share and household penetration is important to many brands across their initiatives, but on TikTok, you're able to connect with and convert those new audiences. So in my past experience, brands and retailers alike are looking for new and younger customers. Here is where they are. The marketing landscape also continues to grow in complexity, right? So brands are having to make decisions around budgets, and sometimes those budgets remain flat or they're declining. This puts increasing pressure on all marketing and media to perform. The opportunity to do closed loop attribution on TikTok Shop makes it an attractive option for seeing the impact of activations to actual sales. It's a huge milestone to be able to capitalize on an entertainment vehicle that shifts into commerce and really evolves the customer journeys, and that's not going away. So those journeys are really changing. We have seen the origins of customer journey transition from search, we'll call it Google, and commerce, we'll call it Amazon, to now social. And other entertainment platforms like YouTube and Meta, making it a critical touch point as we shift consumers towards conversion in these new environments.
Wow, those are some pretty compelling reasons. The transparency of being able to see the measurements and the performance and the closed loop attribution really does speak to where the industry is going in terms of performance marketing and what they're looking for. So back to Deren, what does a brand need to really concern itself with to activate the commerce opportunities on this platform?
It's a great question, and it kind of gets to one of the reasons why I created Flywheel Ventures, because success like TikTok isn't like success on other retail media platforms. It's not about optimizing your search or scrubbing your PDP copy or focusing only on paid media. It's about working with the creator community that produces all of the content that keeps users engaged. And so it requires four things. It requires the ability to identify the right influencers, connect with those creators in a sea of communication that they're facing every single day, easily help them promote your product so that they're not trying to figure out what they're supposed to be promoting. And finally, a brand needs to participate in TikTok specific events like live streaming or the monthly promotions that TikTok conducts. And frankly, you need a dedicated expert who knows how to both win on TikTok armed with the right software to scale your portfolio and the ability to execute that creator outreach.
Let me remind our audience that I'm speaking today with Deren Baker and Molly O'Brien from Flywheel Ventures. All right, Molly. So if you're building your own shop, right, what are the most frequently asked questions you're hearing from brands in order to get this thing up and running?
Well, fulfillment seems to be the top of the list because you can't realize those sales without getting that product into consumers' hands. And you also need to be able to do so in a timely manner that hits TikTok Shop's very established SLA. So very similar to Amazon in that way. The current options are fulfilled by TikTok. Another 3PL, you can use your FBA if you have that at your disposal. You can also use your own warehouse or DTC model that you're using. But it does require an assessment of those capabilities and those requirements, and ensuring that your teams that run those operations are able to add this on or shift and pivot as required by those SLAs. Second, the creators, they are so critical, right? They have their own economy now. Yesterday, they were acting as brand ambassadors, right? Like I would, I really liked Serena Williams for a while when I was younger. I thought she really represented an empowerment and an athleticism and a strength that I really looked up to. She's an influencer, an athlete. Today, they're a traffic channel, Peter. They have evolved and they're critical to the success on TikTok Shop. They're also the broad canvas that you get to tell audiences about your brand, value, assortment, and that you can do so in really creative ways. I think in the past, where you look at the canvas that you have to convert customers, it's usually been pretty limited to an image carousel, a brand story, a brand store. The canvas that you have on TikTok is so dynamic and so broad and so exciting. There's also a lot of work in that. So the revenue opportunity on TikTok Shop requires massive amounts of contact and outreach to the creators, as Deren alluded to generate enough content to scale, right? And we want to help you with that. That is a huge lift from creator discovery. Who do we even want to work with? Who should we work with? To creator selection and making that invitation a true collaboration, all the way down to management and execution and getting that content live and really seeing that content in action. Did it work? Did it drive sales? Was it interesting? Did it connect with the brand? Would you ever want to work with that influencer again? How do you write that down in a very digital and automated black book? Also, the resources to manage this. So in the days of you had a social media manager who might be a single person or a small team that's managing your social platforms, and where that sat on your priorities of your marketing organization varied. Today, you need to bring together all the elements that drive success on any commerce platform. So you need retail expertise, you need hands-on keyboard for creators and traffic. Paid media amplification is super important, and it serves a different purpose on TikTok than it does on your other retailers. It's not a search-based function. It's a take great content and extend the life of it function. You also need supply chain management, and maybe you want one nose to boop for all of that. But you do need to think about it really differently and ensure that you have the resources in place, either in-house or on board via another partner to manage it. You're not going to realize those sales unless you're able to activate across all of those functions. I think the other question we get a lot is the P&L, right? Like, how do I do this profitably? Well, you need to know who your internal stakeholders are that you can have these conversations with, so you can bring that opportunity alongside a forecast, a budget, an investment, and a strategy to someone who can greenlight that initiative. We've seen TikTok tends to sit in the marketing organization today, but we see our sales teams in our clients' organizations really being bullish about this. So being able to navigate your internal stakeholders is really critical, so that you can look at those line items of investment that ladder back to that revenue forecast that we're so excited about. And purely a mind for the future, innovation and iteration. I think that there's an abundance of corporate caution that can really impede you from getting started or realizing this customer engagement and sales opportunity. We found that there's a mindset here that have to take a little risk. We want to be as organized and as profit-minded as possible, but this is the way of the future. Entertainment is not going away. Social commerce is not going away. And so now is the time to dip your toes in, or in my case, run and frolic straight into the waves, into the tide, and kind of wrap our arms around this opportunity to connect with customers.
I see you on the diving board going head into this wave. This is awesome. For me, what's so and I want to underscore something you talked about, the creator economy. The latest stats I've seen say that in 2024, it's anywhere between 140 and $200 billion. And by 2030, it's going to be over 500, $500 billion. That is just phenomenal. And I can see why brands really want to be a part of this, because that's where the business is going. It's where people are spending their time. You want to be a part of where your audience is. So the question is, now that we've kind of dimensionalized all this and we know what people are thinking about, Deren, how's Flywheel making this easier for brands looking to succeed in TikTok shops?
Well, Flywheel provides full service expertise for every phase of a brand's TikTok journey. And we see this in three different phases. First, we help you determine what parts of your catalog to focus on initially, because often the best approach isn't to try to list every single SKU. So we help you identify the right categories based on really detailed market insights and competitive research so that the products you're listing have the best chance of success. Then we help our product partners actually list their products and run the day-to-day operations of TikTok Shop. And then third, as we've talked about extensively, we identify and work with the right creators to build conversion-driving content on TikTok. And that's the part I want to underscore is the content we are creating's goal is to drive the conversion of the product you are listing. And then once we find that inflection point, as Molly referenced earlier, where we see a piece of content that actually starts to convert and a product that takes off, then we amplify that with paid media. So it's a very structured, well thought out strategy to help brands succeed.
I think at the beginning you made mention of the fact that you help brands and manufacturers identify the brands and items that are most appropriate. I know that I've seen Molly in action on here where we've walked into a room and a brand has had a very definitive position, a company on which of their brand and their portfolio, which brands are most appropriate. And I think after Molly has delivered the deep dive into the analysis and saying, actually, you probably want to more focus on these brands. And here's why. All of a sudden their eyes open and they understand maybe they're not thinking about TikTok shops, or they are thinking about it like they do other channels and don't realize that there are other considerations they have to put into deciding exactly what's right for this specific channel.
We've seen examples where in certain categories, brands that do not exist in the competitive set on Amazon show up very high on TikTok. So there's a lot of brands that are going TikTok first, which is really interesting. And, if you're a brand, you need to understand what that competitive landscape looks before you just dive in, like Molly said, dive right off the diving board into TikTok Shop.
Yeah, I think we have to come up with a new term. Digitally native is no longer applicable. It's now TikTok native. Anyhow, so Molly, given what Flywheel's able to do in this kind of white glove service, how long does it take to get up and running for a brand to start being able to sell on TikTok shops when they're working with Flywheel?
Well, once you've done all of the legwork I've already discussed in identifying your stakeholders and making sure that you can move forward, I would say give yourself about a month to get that operation going. Most brands can get their shop set up and catalog on board in about 1 or 2 weeks. So the platform does require some legal and tax IDs sort of entities. So pulling together as much as you can in advance and understanding what that step takes. It doesn't just take a good attitude. It does take some administration, but it does take a little bit longer to engage the community. So once you have your what we're recommending as a hero product strategy, right? There's enough spaghetti on the wall in this experience. After you've identified that product, getting those invitations to collaborate out require that step of discovery first, right? So I think within the first month or so, you would expect to see invitations come out, collaborations approved, and videos created. And that multi-phase approach that Deren was talking about is that inflection point where TikTok really starts to take off. And once you see those videos out and they start generating content, then other creators get really excited about selling it, right? Because they're here to make money. This is their business. And so understanding that over the first 4 to 6 weeks will enable the next couple of weeks to really ramp up. Peter, I got to tell you, the crazy thing about looking at success on TikTok Shop isn't just the big numbers and the big data points. It's actually looking at product sales and shop sales. They take off like the hockey chart sticks that you that you want for your business. I was looking at a brand that started last November. They did 2 million over November and December of 2023, but it's because they were ready to go. They were ready to invest in the creators. They were ready with their forecast and their budget. They even were ready to go live stream. And so we think within about 4 months, you should be able to realize that initial revenue, understand the operation, what that means for consumers, and understand what that means internally, that resource lift, and then modify your plans and investments to scale.
I don't think we can overstate the importance on engaging the creator community. It really is critically important because at the end of the day, that's the content that's going to drive the engagement. It's funny, I was at Cornell this weekend speaking at the Food Executive Program, and one of the professors there had recorded a video, put it on TikTok of an oak tree in the Ithaca community, and it had gone, I've got to find this video because it's now had over 6 million views. And my first reaction when he told me that is, have you started to think about monetizing? And he said, well, actually, I've already had other companies come to me and ask me to record videos with their products talking about the video that I created. And I'm like, this is how it starts, right? This is how you get into the creator economy. So incredibly impressive. So Molly, back to you on this. How do brands get started? What do they need to do to get involved?
Look at your calendar, right? Like, do you have a TikTok activation already coming up? What a great opportunity to bolt on a conversion driving strategy and pull those consumers right through the funnel and start driving sales. We have a bunch of big holidays and events, seasons coming up. And when you're ready, contact us directly. My email is molly.obryen@flywheeldigital.com. And we'll set up a discovery goal to hear about your goals, your current activations, the challenges or risks that you feel like you'll face. And we'll talk through next steps. From there, we like to develop a market assessment that you alluded to Peter. I may come in saying, I want to promote product B, this brand is a priority. And I might come back and say, have you considered brand C or M? This category is really trending on TikTok, and maybe this makes more sense from a profitability and ASP standpoint. And from there, we'll flesh out that P&L / forecast / budget and a go-to-market plan for your business. The other thing that we haven't totally mentioned here, I don't think, is Flywheel is a TikTok shop partner. So we're an accredited agency. They've blessed us with our service and our approach to this. It also means we have a line to TikTok shop should we need to triage anything. So we really want you to succeed, and we're going to pull down all the resources that we have at our disposal to get started and launch. We'd love to talk to you. We've had all sorts of different conversations with different people in different organizations. So even if you just want to get a feel for anything on a double click basis that we've talked about today, don't hesitate to reach out.
All right, Molly, we're going to include in the digital liner notes of this episode links to your LinkedIn profile and your email address to make it easier for people to reach out afterwards. Let me remind our audience, again, if you're using Apple or Spotify, please take the time to give us a rating and write a review to help us tell us what you like or don't like about the CPG guys. I know all you do is like us. I mean, how could you not like us? We're adorable. But we do need your rating to help make the podcast more findable. That's how the algorithms work. And at Flywheel, we're all about algorithms too. So it makes a lot of sense. If you think you or your company has some thought leadership to contribute to this ongoing conversation, drop us a line at contact@cpgguys.com, and maybe you can appear on a future episode of this very podcast. Finally, thank you to the 33,000 LinkedIn followers, many of whom are part of the 15,000 people that follow our sister podcast over in Europe, the FMCG Guys. We are very honored to be part of your podcast rotation. We love the fact that you trust us to educate and entertain you. Very important. Molly and Deren, I cannot thank you enough again for joining us today to share your thoughts around where social commerce is going. This is a phenomenal topic. It's great to hear that Flywheel's positioned to help brands succeed in this nascent but very fast-growing channel. Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I've had a blast working with you, exploring this new frontier, which is feeling not so new anymore, and looking forward to collaborating with your listeners and, as always, with you on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, thrilled to join, Peter. Thanks again for having us, and I'd love to recommend it. There are a bunch of topics that we barely scratched the surface on, like live streaming, and I'd love to pull some of the other Flywheel Venture experts who have been doing this for a long time and have huge expertise in these areas to come join a future episode.
Absolutely, because streaming is another area that we have explored on this and are very excited to talk about how streaming can drive a lot of conversion and commerce as well. To our audience, we'll get together once again very soon, twice a week. You can do that right here on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPGGUYS LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPGGUYS LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPGGUYS LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPGGUYS LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.